Hello, and welcome to our Bright Ideas session on discovering the new content experience. We are excited to have everyone here joining us today. Before we get started, I do want to let everyone know just a few housekeeping items. So, closed captions are available. Feel free to turn those on or off depending on your needs. The Zoom Q&A box is available for any questions that you have throughout today's session. We do ask you to keep all questions specific to today's topic, and we will do our best to answer any questions during the session. But if you don't see an answer while we're together, you can find that answer in our Q&A report that we'll send in an email following the session. Today's session is being recorded and will be posted on the Bright Ideas for Upgrade Essentials YouTube playlist. You can expect to see that video posted within a week. And then in the coming days, we will send all registrants an email with a link to that playlist, a copy of the slide deck, which contains some additional resources, and that copy of that Q&A report that I mentioned from today's session. So we are going to go ahead and close the chat for now. I love seeing where everyone's coming in from. I'm going to have to explore this a little bit later. But let's move on to our agenda for today. So we're going to start with some introductions. I've already gotten to learn a little bit about where you guys are coming from, but you'll learn a little bit about us. We'll also have a quick poll to help us get to know you a bit better as well. We will help you understand kind of the why behind Brightspace's new content experience. Next, you'll see the new content experience in action through a demonstration, first from the learner's perspective, and then from an instructor and course designer's perspective. And then we will end by sharing some resources, having time for a discussion, and then some questions. So my name is Victoria Fulgencio, and I am a customer success specialist at D2L. Essentially, my role is to help educators and professionals like you make the most of your Brightspace tools. I am also excited to say that I have an amazing team of D2Lers here with me to support this session. So we have Heather, Susan, Danielle, Sophie, Nicole, Sebastian, Lou, and even Whitney is here. And sorry, I didn't get everybody on the screen here, but they are all here today to support us. So thank you everyone for the D2Lers that are here, and be sure to ask those questions in that Q&A chat forum. And before we get too far, I do want to align on some quick terms. So D2L is the company that we all work for. Brightspace is our product, a learning management system. And depending on where you work, you might call your Brightspace instance something different, like Avenue to Learn or the VLE. And if your learning management system goes by a different name, if you're here, it still likely refers to Brightspace. Brightspace Community is D2L's free online website where members can find great teaching and learning information, share best practices, and then connect with other professionals that are using Brightspace. We will add a link in the chat. I see Heather's already done it for you to register if you are not yet a member. All right, so why are we talking about the new content experience? What even is NCE? So the new content experience is a modern, intuitive way to create and deliver content in Brightspace. It streamlines course building for instructors and course designers and provides a clearer, more engaging path for learners. We're really excited about it, and we've also heard a lot of positive feedback from different customers that are using it as well. So let's learn more about why many institutions and organizations are making the move to new content experience and why it's so valuable. So first off, the new content experience is clearer for learners. Learners prefer that new content experience because it's easy to navigate and they can clearly see their progress of where they're at in their course, what's required, what's coming up next, and what they've already completed. This supports learner autonomy and academic success, and one institution even said that on average, learners have spent almost 4 hours more in units that are using the new content experience. It's also simpler for educators. Because new content experience is so intuitive, it's easy to get started using it. It has less clicks and less effort, so instructors can spend more of their time on that teaching and learning piece. It's also efficient for those instructors and course designers. So we know how time consuming it can be to set up a course. New Content Experience streamlines that course building and simplifies content authoring workflows. It was designed to save you time when it comes to managing, organizing, and creating that content. So anything from grading to sharing content can be done quickly and intuitively in New Content Experience. And last but not least, it's designed for the future. New Content Experience is where Brightspace is heading. It's already delivering time saving for many clients, and we're continuing to add new features. It reflects the latest in usability research, is built for accessibility, and benefits from ongoing improvements based on real user feedback. So without further ado, I'm going to take you on a journey of a learner using the New Content Experience. You'll see how the visual layout of the New Content Experience offers an engaging path for learners, helps them find exactly what they need quickly, and you'll see how they can easily track their progress. So let's jump right into our space here. So I'm beginning, like I said, as a learner. You can see in the top corner here that I'm logged in as Paulina. And I want to start with the clean, predictable interface that NCE offers. So one piece of feedback that we've heard from learners is that they really appreciate this intuitive layout. It reduces friction on behalf of the learner and gives them confidence as they move through their learning. So let me show you what I mean. On the left-hand side here, you can see that we have a table of contents. Learners can see a list of all of the modules that are available to them. And then you will also notice some of these progress markers here. So we have 0 out of 4, 3 out of 9, 5 out of 8, so on and so forth. These highlight 3 important metrics for the learner. First is how many content topics are in the unit in total. Next is how many has the learner already completed? And then how many do they have left to go? This immediate feedback on their progress supports learner autonomy and academic success. If I click on this Start Here module, you can see a submodule or a folder pop up here with course information. Once I open this course information folder, I can see those different content topics appear below in this single streamlined view. And if I open up our week 1 module, you'll see the same kind of format here. I do want to point you out to, or I want to point your attention towards these icons here on the left-hand side. These are right next to the names of the content topic and help learners see at a glance what type of content it is, so they can get some visibility into exactly what's required of them and what's ahead. And what I love about this is that everything appears in line. So once you select an item from the table of contents, let's say this discussion here, learners can then interact with it with a variety of different types of content here on the right-hand side. And mine is taking a second to load here. Let's click on this one. So without ever having to leave the learning environment, they can go and interact with all of these different types of contents and not have to worry about losing their place. Plus, if there's a due date associated with that content item, you can easily see that date here on the object as well. So whether it's an accessible activity like a discussion that's in line with the rest of their content, or maybe back up here with our course learning outcomes page, which was built natively in Brightspace using one of our pre-built HTML templates, or even just a PDF that was brought in via drag and drop, such as our syllabus here. Once the learner has satisfied the conditions of being complete, whether that is automatically when they open a content object, or if they are required to manually mark it as complete, which you can see sometimes this one pops up down here, but the New Content Experience provides learners with a clear path for their learning with the logical structure, and learners don't have to worry about have I completed something or not, because they'll see a completed check mark there. So you can see here, this one is already marked as complete. And then, as I demonstrated before, with these navigation buttons, learners can move through course content effortlessly. So let's go back into our week one space. As I hinted at before, the new content experience brings accessible activities directly into the content experience. So whether it's an assignment, a discussion, or a quiz, there's no need to leave the content area. So let's take a look at an assignment. This one is taking quite a bit of time to load here. Sometimes all you need to do is refresh a page. So forgive my Wi-Fi. It's not Brightspace, it's my Wi-Fi. Right here, we are in this assignment, and at the top of this assignment, you can see our activity content area, which provides learners with deadlines, expectations, and evaluation details all in one place. You can also see a status card here in the top right corner, which lets us know what exactly the learner would need to do. So in this case, Paulina needs to go and submit this assignment, and I can do that right from this page. As I scroll down, you can see in our submission details that this particular assignment is set up as a text submission. So as a learner, I can either type my submission directly into this text box here, or if I prefer to submit a video or audio reflection, I can do that using our video note tool in our insert stuff space. But for today, Paulina has already typed up her answers, and she's going to copy and paste those right here into this text submission box. We'll press submit. It'll give us an alert that that was successfully submitted. And then it has refreshed. And our status card here at the top now says submitted. So this instant feedback really helps learners stay organized and confident about their next steps. They don't need to worry about, did that load? Did that submit? It's right here for them. If we go down into week 2 and look at another assignment, you'll see that Paulina has already submitted this assignment. And it's very clear because she can see her grade here in that status card. She can quickly link to feedback here, which just lets her scroll down here into her My Workspace. And she can see her overall feedback. So we can see the full evaluation here to see the written feedback that the instructor has provided, as well as the rubric here that's been assessed with feedback that's already embedded into that rubric. And as we scroll down to the bottom, you can see both our learning outcomes and you can see the link to the direct assignment that was submitted itself. So if Paulina had any inline feedback that the instructor had given her, she can click on this assignment and see that feedback there. And when it comes to other accessible activities, we can see a consistent experience. So here, Paulina is met with a discussion. And because this layout is identical to what we saw in assignments, you don't need to learn a new workflow. So once you know how to submit one assessment type, you can submit to all of them. We can review our activity content and then go ahead and post. As you can see here, she has already posted, she has her grade here, and we can just go in and open that discussion or see our submission down here at the bottom. And when we go back to a quiz, right here, you can see a quiz that Paulina has already taken. Again, we see that consistent look and feel in the interface. So if this was a quiz that she had not taken, we can scroll down and you'll see a button here that says Start Quiz. So if she hadn't already taken this, or if, say, it had multiple attempts, she could go in, click Start Quiz, and jump straight into it. So as you can see, this consistent assessment experience makes it easy for learners by reducing that friction and really helps learners focus on their learning by being able to see everything that they need in that one spot. But the last area that I want to showcase from a learner's perspective is that search bar here at the top. So you'll see where it says search titles and descriptions. We can click on that, and as you can see, I've already searched for a syllabus here, but this searches The search functionality looks directly at the titles and the descriptions within your space here. So if I click on that, you can see our start here and our Business 101 syllabus pages pop up. Here you can see that syllabus is here in the description. And in this example, you can see that syllabus was here in the title of that particular content page. And one quick thing is that no matter what device is being used, the new content experience is all mobile responsive. So the experience feels just right on any device. So let me show you what that looks like. If I go and kind of move out of this page here and I start to shrink it down, you'll see that my content doesn't change shape, it doesn't change form, it just kind of shrinks down and the content page adjusts to it. And you'll see the same thing with a natively built HTML template here too. So I can still scroll and access that same content, whether I'm on an iPad, on a phone, anywhere and anytime. So you just experienced the new content experience as a learner, and we saw how it improves learner engagement and clarity with its intuitive layout, the clear learning paths and visibility into progress tracking with those completion metrics and those status cards and the assessments as well. But let's jump back into the slide deck and see how new content experience supports instructors and course designers. So not only does it offer an intuitive, simplified experience for learners, but it's also very simple for instructors and course designers to use. They can spend less time on that course setup and more time on that teaching, pedagogy, and any other high priority tasks, really. In our demonstration, I'm going to show you how simple it is to create, organize, and manage your materials in the new content experience. Its seamless integration with other tools in Brightspace, like those assignments, discussions, and quizzes, means that you don't have to open multiple tabs or windows to manage content and activities. You can do it all from that one spot. So let's take a look. So here I am back in my Business 101 course, but now you can see that I am an instructor, Regina Davis. As we saw as a learner that the content area is where they come to interact with course materials. And as the instructor or course designer, I have that similar smooth visual appearance and content, but I also have this designer view where I can go and manage and author new components here. When I go back into that Start Here space and that course information folder, you'll see that this interface is very similar. And if you're a course designer or facilitator, you're going to see, that's important because you're going to have an easier experience to assist learners as they move through their course. Because like I said, what you're seeing is just the same as what the learners are seeing. So let's go into our week 1 space here. And we'll go back into that discussion, and it is now loading for me today. And we'll go into, so here's what our discussion looks like. It looks just the same as from the learner experience. But what I really want to jump into is that assignment piece. So you'll see that this looks almost identical to the learner experience, but you'll see that this activity content space here, that is the same. It looks identical to what we saw as a learner. But you can see that option here to edit the activity, and there are some different changes down at the bottom. But what I love about this interface is that instructors can instantly review activity instructions or make changes to the assignment by, once again, clicking on that edit activity space. I don't need to go to the assignments tool, find the assignment, and then make the changes there. And personally, I always love it when I can do something in fewer clicks. If I scroll down or even just minimize this activity content piece here, you can see the one big difference between the learner and instructor view, which is the completion summary. So as learners complete this activity, this area fills up with data. Here I can see a list of all of the learners in the course. their completion status, their grade if I've already evaluated it. And if it is ready to be evaluated, I can jump right into the evaluation workflow straight from here. And you can already see that submission that we did with Paulina pops up right here and even has that little orange notification there. This provides such a clear view of learner progress, submission history, and readiness for evaluation. And one also important, super important note here is that I can see if the learner is online straight from the space. So if I hover over Faith here, I can see that she's offline, but I can also see that Paulina is online right here. So say if a learner has not submitted an assignment and that assignment is overdue, I can go ahead and send an instant message right here or an email. And as I've probably mentioned already, one of my favorite parts is that assessment experiences are consistent. So if I go back and look at that discussion there, I can, from here, edit the activity. I can jump right into the topic to view it. I see that activity content and completion summary there. And it's the same for a quiz. I can see all of the information that I need about the quiz in this activity content space. So from here, I can also launch a quiz, edit it, and then once again, glance at those details here, all in line. And as we scroll down, we see our completion summary, and I can see that the number of attempts that our learners have attempted this particular quiz. I can see if they've completed it, if it's overdue. And if this wasn't an auto-graded quiz and it required an instructor's intervention to assess, again, I can jump right into the evaluation experience in one click right here. So this really brings to life how efficient this inline experience is to instructors as they can edit an activity, check the completion status, and launch into evaluation all without leaving the content space. This is important because it reduces the cognitive load by having everything in that one place. Everything is streamlined, intuitive, and right where you need it. And for those who are already using the new content experience and don't see your assessment activities in line, or maybe your space over here looks a little bit different, it's likely due to a configuration variable. So I do have a slide with more information on the different configuration variables later in the session. But if you're looking at it and saying, why does mine look different? It's likely due to that. So we talked about all of this here, but Brightspace also has some powerful content authoring functionality that I'm excited to show you too. So you saw how learners can interact with content, but now let's explore how instructors and course designers can actually use simple workflows to build that beautiful content within Brightspace. So let's start. I'm going to minimize these first by creating a new unit, or in this case, ours is named module here. For this particular unit, I am going to give it a name. I'm going to follow the same kind of framework that I had of the different weeks. And when I create a new module or unit, I do have the option to add in that description. So this is helpful because of that search functionality that we looked at before. Any of those keywords in the description can be found through that search box. So I'd like to do some fun formatting here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually insert a table. To do that, I can click on here, go to table. And I don't want my learners to actually know it's a table, so I'm gonna actually hide it from them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change these table properties, make the border width 0. So essentially it's like a 0 border or an invisible border. And what I can do from here is I can add in my description on one side, and I can go and add my image on the left-hand side. If I wanted to, instead of dragging and dropping, I could go and make that image or add that image using the insert image button right here at the top. And I can go ahead and actually change a couple other things. So maybe I want to make, if I can highlight correctly, maybe I want to make this font size a little bit bigger. I can change maybe the indentation here. So all of these options are here and available for you within that new content experience with the Brightspace editor. All right, so I have the content here, but let's look at the right-hand side. You can see these spaces here. So we have our availability dates and conditions. And from here, I can choose a start and end date. Our start date is essentially when do I want this content available to my learners? So if week 4 maybe doesn't start until March 16th, I'll pick that. And then from there, I can pick a time as well. So when I set that start date, that essentially means that my learners can't see this content until that start date has happened. And if I wanted to, I could add an end date. The end dates will do the same thing, but the opposite. So the content, if I added an end date for, say, the 23rd, that would mean that that content is only available from the 16th through the 23rd of that date, and learners won't be able to see that content after that date passes. So for this one, I'm not going to set that end date. From here, you also have the option to add a release condition. You can add something new or add an existing one. So if you only want learners to see the unit after they've satisfied a particular criterion, such as getting a certain grade on a quiz or completing maybe their week 3 content, this is where you would go and add those release conditions here. And then we also have this display accordion. This has to do with the color of the actual module that's on the left-hand side in the table of contents. This adds to the visual appeal, and we've also heard that learners really appreciate it to support with organization and navigation of their materials. The default will match the color of the navigation bar theme, which in this course is a navy blue. But if I want to make it a different color, I can go and press custom. From here, I can select a color. I personally love green, so I'll make it that. And we can press save and close here. One note is that the ability to change those colors of the module is controlled by permission. So if you don't see that, just get in touch with your Brightspace administrator or someone on that team. So you can see here, most of the modules are that navy blue color. We have our bright green one here for week 4. And you can see that our description here has a table here that is invisible, and all of our materials are here. But now that we have a unit, since I added a start date, it won't be visible to learners until then. So what I can do is I can go ahead and make it visible. But as you can see, there is that reminder that it doesn't start until March 16th, 8 a.m. And let's go ahead and add in some content that I've already have on my computer into Brightspace here. So what I can do is I can easily go and drag and drop some content right here. And you can see my course materials there. I can easily, once that material is in there, I can easily drag and rearrange that course material. So now our image here of an entrepreneur is right at the top there. And that is just personally one of my favorite ways to go and move that information. It makes it just easy to rearrange things. But say I wanted to create something directly in Brightspace, and you'll have to excuse my cat here for a second. So we're going to go back into this week 4. And I want to point you towards the right-hand side of this page here, where we have a simple 2-button experience. We can either add existing materials that I've already created or use the create new to author content directly in Brightspace. So let's start with add existing. You can see that I'm met with many options here, including the ability to simply upload something from either my Google Drive or OneDrive. Once again, I can go and drag and drop my files directly into here or press this browse button. And then if I've already created an accessible activity such as an assignment, discussion, or quiz, I can add it right in line here for learners using these buttons here. So let's add in an assignment here, and it's this financing a business assignment. You can see all I did was click on add existing assignment and then chose the assignment that I wanted to add. It's already right here on the screen and it's in line just like any of the other assignments would be. But let's look at how easy it is to author content directly in Brightspace. So I can go back to this unit, press create new. And once again, you can see that I have a number of options here. So we have our new submodule, which might be a new subfolder for yourself, depending on your naming conventions there. This could be useful for an additional support folder. So maybe your instructor resources that are hidden from students, or maybe it's just a way to organize content within a particular week or unit. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and add a page of content. Once again, you see the same kind of experience and workflow that you saw when we went and created a unit. For this page, I'm going to call it Budgeting Matters. If anybody in here is a business instructor, please don't tell me how bad my content is for today. But in this space, you can see our budgeting matters here. And then we can also have a space for adding our learning outcomes. So if my learning outcomes or standards have already been added into my course, I can align content to that learning outcome right here. So for this one, I'd like to do, you can see I've already typed this in quite a few times, our listen actively one. Click on that and press save. You can see our outcomes right here. And then I can also add in a due date if I want my learners to look at this by a certain date. I'm going to call out this box right here with these sparkles. This is a component of our optional AI package called D2L Lumi. It's not the focus for today, but I know many of you might be curious about it, so just wanted to bring that up. We do have a recording of a session on that in our Bright Ideas YouTube playlist as well, so if you're curious, go check that out. But when you author content in Brightspace, you do have the ability to apply a template. You can see that button right here. The templates are really great because they help you not have to start on a blank page. So I can choose a template that I'd like to use for this particular page. I'm going to make this full screen just so we can see it a little bit better. And within our templates, you can add or build your own custom templates as well with specific colors or even embed your logo on each page, like you can see here at the bottom with the D2L logo. And then you'll notice if you read these templates is that they also provide you with instructional and design best practices for how to use them, such as pasting text without formatting. You can use that Control-Shift-V or Command-Shift-V on a Mac, which is what I'm going to use today. So as the course designer, I will simply use this Brightspace editor to override the different components. And let's start by replacing this header at the top here. And then I can go and replace the material underneath it. Once again, all I'm doing is Control-Shift-Ving this. We can change that one and it keeps that same color. It keeps the same formatting. But say you don't want to just have text. Text can be pretty static. You want your content to be engaging. So beyond this, I can insert multimedia or images into here. So say I want to insert an internally or externally authored piece of multimedia. I can use our Insert Stuff button to do that. In this case, I'm going to add a YouTube video, but you can see the different options here. We have materials that are from your computer. We also have the video note option that I mentioned earlier, so we can record video directly into Brightspace itself. We have our media library, which allows you to centrally store all your media assets within the learning environment. And you can easily add any of those assets into your course straight from here as well. But as I said, I'm going to use YouTube for today. We can search directly in there, but I do have a link that I'd like to add. And we have our Business Budgeting 101. So it's really easy, as you can see, to insert those third-party components. And let's move down to this heading 3 here. We're going to change this to types of budgets. And I'd actually like to add bullet points here. So I'm going to go and erase this and make a bulleted list. So I can add in my cash budget, my capital budget, and comparison budget. Oh, I do recommend making sure that you spell everything correctly before making content visible for learners. And finally, I do have this beautiful call out box down here at the bottom where I can capture a learner's attention. So in this case, I'd like to add a reflection question. There it is. If I'd like to, I can go and actually change this to a different heading. We're going to do heading 4. And while this is highlighted, one additional thing I can do to change is select a color here. Within our color picker, we do have a built-in WCAG color contrast ratio checker. So here you can see that it meets the benchmarks for those requirements. But if I was to change this to something that's maybe a little bit difficult to read, it will be flagged as inaccessible. So you can easily get that instant feedback on the different colors that you have here. So I've changed it now to something that does meet those requirements, and I can click Save here. One additional accessibility note is that once you're done building out your page, you can run Brightspace's accessibility checker right here in the top right corner, which is a dedicated button on the Brightspace editor that reviews your content. It looks for known issues that might not comply with those web content accessibility guidelines and allows you to remediate a variety of accessibility concerns. So if, say, I had an inappropriate color contrast ratio, it would flag this to me so I can go ahead and fix it. Or if I had an image with no alternative text that was not marked as decorative, or if headings were not in sequential order, it will catch all of those accessibility concerns to ensure that the content that I've created is accessible for all learners. But since I have no accessibility issues for this particular page, I'll click OK and exit our full screen view. And after I'm done with the main components of my page, let's look on the right-hand side. You'll see, just like we had with our module, we can choose when to make this visible to learners using those availability dates. We can add in those release conditions. And then we have our completion space here. So here's where I can decide as the instructor what will mark this particular piece of content complete for the learner. We have automatically when it's opened. And then we also have that the learner needs to manually mark it as complete using a button that will be at the bottom of that page. So we're going to keep automatically when opened and press save and close. So beyond authoring content, I also have a consistent experience to author different activities or assessments. And now that this is loaded, you can see our content page here. So I'd like to create an assignment, say. We'd go into that create new space again and go into assignment. What you'll notice here is that across these 3 activity types, the page is laid out the same. So as a course designer, this really speeds things up as I don't need to learn a new workflow each time. The left 3/4 of my page are focused on the core aspects of my activity, such as the title, the grade value, our due date, our instructions, as well as our outcomes here. And then the right-hand side is really focused on those availability dates, the submission and completion, and evaluation and feedback. So those extra pieces here. One quick note before I focus on this is that this due date here will create a calendar event for me and populate in our work to do widget if I was to add a due date. And then down here, once again, I have that familiar Brightspace editor where I could even record that video note to explain the instructions to my learners. So, as I hinted at, on the right, we have those additional features and functionality tucked away neatly in this panel. This is an example of how we've designed Brightspace to create consistency, but also reduce the cognitive load on the designers. So I simply have to learn that one interface, and when I'm comfortable with it, I can see it across all my tools, and all of those advanced options are just tucked away on the right-hand side. So once again, we have that availability dates and conditions, release conditions. Here we can add special access. We have submission types here for our assignments. And then in our evaluation and feedback, this is where I can go if I wanted to go in and add a rubric. I can do that straight from here. And then there's a few other settings that I can apply here if I want, but essentially it's really easy to build out these core concepts. And if I wanted to, I could do the exact same thing with a discussion. So if I click on discussion, you'll see that it's the exact same workflow here. And real quick, I know we're starting to run out of time, but I want to show you guys this outcomes dashboard here on the top left corner. So this tells me how many of my learning outcomes that have been added into the course are currently aligned with content items. So as we scroll down, you can see a bird's eye overview of all of the outcomes in my course, where they've been aligned to individual content items in the space. And if there's no alignment, you'll see that it shows up in a different color here. So it tells me if there's a gap that I might need to fill. So if I go back into our content space here, or our page that we created. Come on. Sorry, it's taking me a second. Say I wanted to go and add a learning outcome to a particular type of content, whether it's an assignment or our budgeting matters here. I can go and do that in our ellipses under View Outcomes. You can see that we've already added a particular outcome here, but I can edit those outcome alignment and go and add something additional here as well. It does have that search functionality there, and you can see that once we press Save Changes, it pops right up here. One quick note with those learning outcomes is that since content is not assessed, content aligned to outcomes will not contribute to the learning outcome achievement score. So you just saw how the modern interface of the new content experience offers a streamlined experience for instructors and course creators to organize and manage that content. And because of those familiar intuitive workflows, you can easily build that content in Brightspace and do it faster than ever, as long as your Wi-Fi is compatible. So let's jump back into our slides. And in summary, as you can see here, the new content experience really empowers our learners. It gives them that visibility and control over their learning, and we saw how easy it is for them to stay focused and engaged with what they need. It's also simple for those educators and efficient for instructors and course designers, with the intuitive interface for creating, managing, and organizing that content. And finally, the new content experience is designed for the future. NCE is where Brightspace is headed, and it reflects that latest usability research, is built for accessibility, and benefits from ongoing improvements based on real user feedback. So we hope that through today's webinar, you see the value of new content experience and are excited to continue to explore it at your institution or organization. So before we move into questions and discussion, I would love to get some feedback from this session. So we have created a post-session survey and would appreciate if you could share that feedback with us here. If you'd like to participate in the survey, there's a link in the chat that Heather has already added, or you can scan that QR code that you see on the screen. And then we've also added a couple links to the screen or to the slide here to provide you more information on our product idea exchange or PI process. If you have any feedback regarding Brightspace itself, be sure to check those out. I know we've made a lot of changes to the new content experience based off of your PI requests. And we also invite you to join the D2L Champions program. Being a champion gives you the opportunity to receive points for sharing your experience, providing your feedback, and even checking out webinars like this one. You can then redeem those points for swag, gift cards, charity options, and additional D2L services. So you can find the link to that Champions program in the chat now. And we also have a number of webinars just past March, but in addition to just in this month. So the links to register for these upcoming sessions can be found in the chat, but on the screen here, you can see our sessions that are coming up on the 11th, 17th, and 19th of this month for our different streams of webinars. And speaking of webinars, our training team does host 2 monthly sessions for all Brightspace users. The first is a Q&A drop-in session where you can get your Brightspace questions answered in real time. So no matter what your question is, you can go to them and they can hopefully help you out with those. And then the second is focused on what's new in Brightspace using our release notes. These sessions give you free access to that D2L training team in a way that you might not get otherwise. So be sure to check them out if you're available. And you can find a link with more information to those sessions or on those sessions in the chat. And as I mentioned before, we have some config variables I wanted to talk about. So before jumping into our discussion and Q&A, I wanted to share these couple resource slides that you can dive deeper into yourself. So this first slide has a handful of config variables that I mentioned earlier. So like I said, if you're familiar with the new content experience, but it didn't look quite the same, maybe you were missing that inline assessment or your table of contents looks a little bit different, be sure to check to see if these config variables are on in your environment. And that should essentially help you with those formatting. And then we also have some additional resources linked here with more information on things like those config variables that we mentioned and some recent releases that we've had for content. These links will be available to you in the slide deck that following the session. It is 2 o'clock Eastern time, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, but thank you again to everybody for joining today, and we really hope to see you in a future session.